Now we're live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, KGRADB. We're live on Spreaker. We're live on TikTok. We're live on all of our formats. And here we go. Happy Friday the 13th. Yes, for those of you who have not noticed, today is Friday and it is the 13th. And we're going to talk about that today and what this Friday the 13th is all about. Why are people frightened by it? Why are people not like it? Is it really, so many people believe in this superstition that Friday the 13th is bad. It's a bad day. I don't know. It hasn't been too bad, although it has been somewhat bad today because I didn't get my walk in. I was just telling Mr. Producer right before the show that Friday the 13th usually are not that bad for me. And it just dawned on me that today I didn't get to walk. Number one, I was just swamped with ministry, but also, we had like 55-degree weather just the other day and now snowing. So I didn't get to walk outside. But anyway, I could have walked on the treadmill, but I just feel like I'm a horse when I'm on the treadmill. I just do. I feel like I'm I feel like when I'm on the treadmill, I'm being trained for the Kentucky Derby or something. I don't know why. That's just what I just don't like the treadmill. It's just different when you're out walking, in nature. Okay, for those of you who are tuning in, you're probably thinking, what on earth did I just tune into? I'm Bishop James Long with the United States Old Catholic Church, and hello to you, and hi to all of you. I appreciate everybody being here. Now, let's get the business part done, so Mr. Producer can take care of business that he has behind the scenes. Mr. Producer is very busy, very, very busy, you see. So, first of all, I want you to go to this website. The sponsors of the show is kgradb.com. Folks, again, let me tell you again, kgrad as in dog, b.com, kgradb.com. Now, they have shows there that are paranormal, all paranormal related. Yep, this show airs there as well. So I'm honored to be a part of the family. Now, when you go, I want you to subscribe. Because if you love the paranormal like I do, and you're unapologetic for it, and you should be, don't apologize to anybody because you like the paranormal. If they have a problem with it, that's their problem, not yours. So just don't apologize to people for that. I've been judged and condemned. I've been called everything but my name by people who, because they don't like the fact that I'm involved in the paranormal. Oh well, and which bill of mine are you going to pay this month since you have an opinion on how I should live my life? And yet they don't pay any of my bills. So therefore, your opinion don't matter. It's that simple. Anyway, if you go to that site, kgradb.com, there's a promo code that I want you to use. And that promo code is Bishop, because you're going to get 30% off your subscription. It's already very, very inexpensive as it is. But if you're going to save 30%, save 30%. So just do it. I love KGRADB. It's my family. I've always felt very welcome there. And so they're the ones that produce the shows that you see. They're the ones that pay the bills for me to get on not Spreaker, but on StreamYard, on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, on KGRADB. So when I do Bible studies, when I do open mic on Mondays. So I appreciate them a lot. So show your appreciation if you would, and go subscribe. Again, the shows are great there. By the way, one of the shows they have is Andrea Perrin. Now, Andrea Perrin is a good buddy of mine. I love her. She is Andrea. If you've never met Andrea, do yourself a favor and do it. Meet her, because if you ever want to meet somebody that's just full of light and love and joy, then you need to meet Andrea Perrin, because once you meet her, you'll never forget. You never will. Andrea grew up in the Conjuring house. She was actually one of the children who grew up there, who actually witnessed what happened with the Warrens and everything. And she actually has a show right here at KGRADB following mine. So do yourself a favor and go to the site. Also, if you would, go to bishopjameslong.com. That is my site, bishopjameslong.com. By the way, I do have brand new necklaces. They're not brand new, but I just bought some more. I have mine and I wear it all the time. Go to the store link. And this, I tell you what, that right there, Mr. Producer, that's the new. This is the brand new. I say brand new. I wear mine. This is mine. I'm telling you, I love this. Love it. And I don't have a whole lot of these, but I did order some more of these, and it has a pretty decent weight. This is not, it has a pretty good weight to it. And I love also the fact that it's on a necklace where you can kind of move this up and tighten it. And so if you have a larger neck, there's a little thing here that you can obviously loosen it up and tighten it. But Saint Benedict is the patron saint for exorcists. Now, I will bless yours. If you buy one, go to the store, I will bless yours, and I bless it for free. You do not buy a blessed item. That's simony. So that is something that I do not do. I bless it as a courtesy for you so that you don't have to find clergy to bless it. So I do that. So when you get it, you will smell obviously what I use, the oil, and you'll smell it. I use quite a bit because I want to properly, bless it for you and send it to you. Now, you don't have to use a lot of oil. I do. So anyway, I'm going to send one. Again, go to bishopjameslong.com. and just click on the store link. That's all you have to do. bishopjameslong.com and click on the store link. Also, yep, I appreciate that, Mr. Producer. I also have a online class. People are always asking me if I teach classes. I do. And what you can do is go to bishopjameslong.com and click on the class link. And you're going to learn demonology, angelology, paranormal studies, and genealogy. You'll learn all 4 classes. And it's 100% online. You learn at your own pace, which is pretty cool too. So you can sign up. And of course, 100% of the funds goes to funding the ministry. And bishopjameslong.com, click on the class link. It's a lot. There's a lot of information, but it's information that I'm teaching you from my years of experience as an exorcist for the church and as somebody who studied demonology all my life, literally all my life. And so consider doing that. And then finally, and of course, also on the church's website is usocc.org. People are always asking me about the church. Well, just go to the church's website, usocc.org. And if you go there, you'll find all about us, everything you need to know. And now night prayer is at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I invite you to join us for night prayer. For those of you on KGRADB and Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, you can go there, Spreaker.com/show/night prayer. Or for those of you on TikTok or anybody, just go to my website, bishopjameslong.com. Scroll down to the bottom. You'll see night prayer, the big old picture. Click on it, and there you go. Simple as that. Okay. All right. Let's see. Oh, well, great. Yeah, Debbie, that's very nice. Debbie saying, I took the class. It's great. Well, thank you very much. So I appreciate everybody being here and spending your time with me on this Friday the 13th. And don't forget, Andrea Perrin is right after the show. And so she starts at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay. All right. Let's talk. First of all, I want to chat briefly, if you don't mind, about this Friday the 13th, because I think it's important to discuss it. And where does this whole thing come from, and kind of go from there. People ask me a lot about. I did do Ghost Adventures. I did the 3 episodes with Bobby Mackey's. Zach, I consider a friend, and we talk. Not every day, but we do talk. And Zach is a businessman, and whether people like Zach or not, look, he's an executive producer of Ghost Adventures. His job is to produce. And people are always asking me about the Demon House, and why did he do this? And that wasn't very smart, and all this. You got to understand, again, he's an executive producer. So you can go to a haunted location, and then you spend, easily $15,000, $20,000 for a location setup, or you can buy the location for $35,000 and use it as much as you want. Well, that's exactly what he did. So, I mean, from a business perspective, it makes sense. You can buy the location, which he did, for $35,000. Well, why not buy it? because not only did you do a show, but you also did a documentary on it as well. So you make the money plus, a lot more. So people think it wasn't a smart move. I thought it was a brilliant move. I thought it was a very, very intelligent decision to buy the Demon House in Indiana. Why wouldn't you? You're going to spend $25,000 for an all night lockdown or whatever they charge, versus staying at the Demon House for 24/7. I don't know. It makes sense to me. So I don't know. Okay. Well, sure, Jason. Yeah, I got your friend request. Yeah, I don't send friend requests out. So it must have been. Jason saying, thank you for adding me. I think you added me. I just want to make sure you're adding to the right account. Because I don't know. The Demon House is no longer standing. Let me just say this very quickly before I continue, because my brain, I'm naturally blonde. But TikTok, I have 2 accounts, and that's it. That's all. I have the account that you're watching right now, Bishop James Long. And then the other one's very simple, bishopjameslong.official. That's it. I haven't really done a whole lot with the .official one yet, but I'm going to start doing something. But those are the only 2 accounts that I have. Now, I have made video after video after video about this. I've even pinned it to my account. Apparently, there are people who have created fake accounts, use my name, use my picture. They'll say bishop.jameslong or .bishopjameslong, and then they'll contact people and tell people, hey, look, I want you to donate some money to orphanage in Africa. Folks, I'm not going to send you. I'm not going to send you a message. You won't get a message from me. Not because I'm being rude. It's because, number one, I have over 12,000 messages on TikTok, and to be quite honestly, I have 15,000 emails that I'm trying to get to. There, 15,000. Oh, you guys can't see because they're 15,700. I don't have time sending emails out to people, and I'm not going to send you an email asking you to donate money to an orphanage in Africa. Not that I don't support that. I certainly do, but I'm not going to. So I won't be sending you emails. You will never get an email from me ever. In over 2 decades of doing this ministry, no one has gotten an email from me trying to get money or asking you for money for this or nope. You never will, and never have. And if you did, then it's a scam. I have reported those fake accounts constantly, and for some stupid reason they're still staying up, which I don't get, and I don't understand it. But anyway, I've done everything that I can, and Deacon Tommy is going to start serving as my as an assistant. For those of you who do need help, I can't keep up. So Deacon Tommy Golden has said that he would be willing. He's a deacon for the church, and he's going to kind of serve as the assistant. So I'm going to get his email and put it on my website, and then start letting people know from now on, if you need to contact me about a case, you need to go through Deacon Tommy. I don't want to overwhelm Deacon Tommy, though. So that's the problem there, Deacon, because you're going to the seminary, and that's why I've kind of not done this, because it can be overwhelming. Okay. Again, if you want to go to the church's website, I'm not going to keep repeating the same answer. Go to usocc.org. That is the name of the church. Okay. Oh, a little pen. Yeah. Oh, I actually have, Ellen, I've penned 2 videos on my profile about the very issue about fake accounts. So there's really nothing else I can do. You can go to my website, bishopjameslong.com. The real, you can go to bishopjameslong.com and click on the store link. And there you go. All right. Friday the 13th. Where does this superstition come from? Why is it unlucky for some? And how many are there in 2023? Well, this is by Rahman Ghazali. And he says on Friday 13th, some superstitious people will go so far as to avoid traveling at all. And we're going to talk about saging in just a second. If you had a bad start this morning and couldn't figure out what was wrong, today's date, he says, could be to blame. Friday the 13th, a date considered unlucky by some, returns for the first time this year, but it is not the only one on the calendar. Unfortunately, the date, which brings nothing but bad luck and superstitions, individuals, particularly in the Western world, is frequently connected with misfortune. You see, some people would spend the day avoiding mirrors, sighting a black cat, even ladders. And they would also avoid traveling. Well, the day is rife, by the way, with spooky occurrences and superstitious behavior, sometimes serving as an inspiration for horror films with Friday the 13th franchise. 12, I mean, they have 12 movies. This is not just some Hollywood urban legend. Some hotel buildings have even gone considerable lengths to get rid of the 13th floor and would skip straight to the 14th floor, while some hotels do not even have a room 13 altogether. Even major airlines, such as Ryanair, they don't have a 13th row in their planes. Isn't that amazing? I'm thinking, come on. So where are these theories? This Friday the 13th thing? Well, another popular explanation for Friday the 13th unluckiness is a narrative of Jesus' Last Supper and crucifixion. You see, Leonardo da Vinci's picture of the Last Supper depicts 13 people in the upper room on Thursday. And then the 13th of Nisan, the night before Jesus' death on Good Friday. So the 13th person at the dinner is considered to have been Judas, who betrayed Christ. And furthermore, the association on Friday the 13th with bad luck can be traced actually back to Thomas Lawson's novel, Friday the 13th, which was published in 1907. For those of you who don't know, the plot revolves around a banker who leverages Friday the 13th superstition to cause a Wall Street panic on that precise date. Now, according to Henry Sutherland's 1869 biography of Italian composer Rossini, who died on Friday the 13th, the composer considered Friday to be an unfortunate day and the 13th to be an unlucky number. I don't know. I mean, there's actually a fear. There's a fear called for people who are afraid of Friday the 13th. I didn't even know that was, I mean, I had no idea that was a real phobia. For those of you who don't know, the only good news is that Friday the 13th only occurs twice in 2023. Today, and yep, in October. So Friday the 13th in October will be fun because it's Halloween season. Then in 2024, the date will also appear twice in September and December, and will only happen once in 2025. And that to be in June. But in 2026, the dreaded date will appear 3 times, February, March, and November. So there you go. For those of you who don't like Friday the 13th, I'm sorry, but there is an interesting history behind the Friday the 13th if you like the historical aspects to it. How many of you think it is? How many of you think that it's bad? It's unlucky? I've never really thought of Friday the 13th as being unlucky. I don't know. If it's primarily because of the movies, really? Alice says yes. No, it's always been a good day for me. Okay, no, all right. So most people don't. Okay, I'm getting a lot of questions. Okay, I'm getting a lot of questions on Messenger, Facebook Messenger. People, if you're watching on Facebook if you're watching on Facebook, you can just come on over to Facebook, and you don't have to send me a direct message because I'm being slammed on Messenger right now. But you can ask me questions on. Okay, that. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't mean. All right, let me make sure I read this right. I've never been asked that question before, sir. But someone is asking on Messenger. I'm not trying to be rude. Someone asked me on Messenger, "What do I smell like?" I assume you're asking if I wear cologne. I think that's the proper question. But well, we're talking about Friday the 13th. We're talking about Friday the 13th, and maybe this is Okay, a little flustered here. I normally don't get asked that question, but I do appreciate. Thinking that I will smell like wild oats and honey. Whew, Lord Almighty! I tell you what, boy, my boy. No, okay. I'm just going to assume you're talking about as far as the cologne. Yes, I do have. That's the only thing that I actually splurge on. My favorite cologne, I'm wearing it now. I like Tom Ford Tobacco Vanilla. That's my favorite. That's my favorite cologne that I wear. And so there you go. Maybe that gives you an idea, and hopefully you can kind of go with it. And soap and water, yeah. No, Tom Ford Tobacco Vanilla. Yeah, that's what I like. Okay, let's get back to this. Here we go. Now, what is Friday the 13th? Well, so anyway, for those of you who don't know, the combination of Friday the 13th and number 13 have long been considered unlucky. Well, some people say that. Well, let me just tell you, this is by Graham Falk. And you need to get shares in Tom Ford now. Yeah, that's the truth. I do. Actually, yeah, you're right. Yeah, Tom Ford. Come on. From books to horror films, names, the dates, all the way back to the Bible reference, Friday 13th has been accepted as day of bad luck. I just don't buy it. Well, the day occurs when the 13th of the month. For those of you who don't know, what is Friday the 13th? Well, the day occurs when the 13th of the month in the Gregorian calendar falls on a Friday, and which happens at least once every year, but can occur up to 3 times. In the Western world, some people say it's unlucky. And I don't know. I just don't get it. So for centuries, it's been an unwritten rule that due to the story of the Last Supper, as I mentioned, Friday the 13th has been documented in the Western world. There's a play born on the Friday the 13th. It was bad misfortunes. I don't buy it. Now, some people say, hold on, there's some legitimacy to Friday the 13th. Many believe that it is very unlucky, while others will classify it as a simple superstition. However, there are a number of tragedies and very unfortunate events that have happened on Friday the 13th. By the way, on TikTok, no, 80 to 87%. Wow. 87% said, nope, they do not believe that Friday the 13th is unlucky. And only about basically 13% said that it is. Well, there we go. Well, there are some people say, hold on, there might be some legitimacy here to this. There have been a number of tragedies and unfortunate events that have happened on Friday the 13th. Popular artist and actor Tupac Shakur was shot dead in a drive-by shooting on September 7th. He did live for a further 6 days, but passed away on Friday, September the 13th. There was an Air Force plane crashed in the Andes in October 1972. Yep, on Friday the 13th, with a total of 16 passengers. 16 of the 45 passengers on board survived. And they had to eat the dead passengers to stay alive. By the way, that movie's called Alive. If you've never seen it, you should really, it's a very powerful movie. On the same day, another flight crashed in Russia. Same Friday 13th. The entire 164 passengers on board on the flight, 10 crew members perished when the plane crashed while trying to land due to bad weather. In Buckingham Palace was bombed by Adolf Hitler's army during World War II, which killed one and completely destroyed the Royal Chapel on Friday the 13th, 1940. On the same day in Bangladesh, a cyclone devastatingly killed 300,000 people. Talk about unlucky. Poor Welsh bus conductor Rob Renfrey had a run of luck that solidified Friday the 13th as the worst day ever for him in the 1990s. During that decade, on Friday the 13th specifically, each time he lost his job, crashed the motorbike, and fell through a glass door and rode off total 4 cars. ISIS launched attacks on the French capital of Paris. It was Friday the 13th, 2015. Many of the United States cite Friday the 13th, March 2020, as the beginning of the coronavirus pandemic. A British 13-year-old boy was struck by lightning on Friday the 13th in 2020 at the time of 1313. Isn't that crazy? The Costa Concordia sank into the ocean on Friday the 13th, 2012. It was reported, by the way, the largest passenger ship ever wrecked. with almost double the number of people on the Titanic. It claimed total of 32 lives. And the captain was later convicted of manslaughter in 2015. There's a lot. I guess if you really searched all over the world, I'm sure today, if you searched all over the world, you're going to find some tragedies, and you can compile those tragedies and say, see, this happened on Friday 13th. This happened. You know what I mean? So I think that the world is a pretty big place. And I think, if we could easily look throughout the history of time and okay, well, this happened in 1850. This happened in 1920. This happened in 1930. I personally, I think because these events are so spread out over time, I don't see that as legitimate. I just don't. Because really, I could let's pick up Sunday the 15th. Let's just throw it out there. Sunday the 15th. And I'm sure that if you look through the history of time, you can find some events, terrible events that occurred on Sunday the 15th of the month. Do you see what I mean? So to me, you're right. You can do that with any day of the week, if you look throughout the history of time. So I don't really necessarily buy this whole it is the Friday the 13th thing. And I love history. I'm definitely a history buff. No question about that. Now, there are folklore creatures that many people say that will kind of give you the heebie-jeebies. This is by Lex Lay. Now, listen to this. It says, we all heard of mythical creatures and cryptids like Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster, but those aren't the only strange creatures rumored to be wandering the earth. Now, throughout history, there have been dozens of other strange folklore creatures described in stories passed down from generation to generation. Each of these creatures has its own fantastic description, whether about its physical appearance or interactions with humans. Now, below, he says these are 8 of the most bizarre folklore creatures in history that you'll likely have never heard of. Okay, so listen to this, and I'll get your questions in just a second. I promise you, I'll get your questions. He says the Scorpion Men. Now, folks, this is folklore legend. And people are legitimately frightened of these people, of these creatures. If you're not a fan of scorpions, you may have nightmares about this creature. These Scorpion Men are creatures from Mesopotamian mythology, and they are described as Scorpion Men. There are many descriptions of these strange creatures, but most describe them as having the head and torso of a man, but the body of a scorpion. We have Dog Man, we have Pig Man, we have Moth Man, we have several other. So, I mean, when people think of that, they think, oh, that's stupid, the head of a man. Well, Dog Man. I mean, come on. Anyway, this creature is first described in the Babylonian creation myth and the Babylonian version of the Epic of Gilgamesh. They are described as having heads that touch the sky and frightening gazes that can kill anyone who make direct contact with them. However, they were not considered particularly violent and were even known to help travelers by warning them of any impending danger on their path. Well, maybe you want to see a Scorpion Man if that's the case. I just don't want to see any type of man's head on a scorpion's body. I mean, I'm just done. That's just not something that I want to see. Here's another one that I want to pass on: the human dog, the Adlet. It's called Adlet. It's a human dog offspring. Yes, I said, I cannot believe I just said those 2 words together. Human dog offspring. I just had a visual. I'm sorry. Let me just take a moment and think of Christmas or happier times. I can't get the visual out of my head. A human dog offspring. What are they drinking? I mean, this is just water. I mean, folks, come on. I guess I'd have to have a German Shepherd or a Rottweiler. Anyway, okay. According to the Journal of American Folklore, my boy, the Adlet are unique dog-like creatures described in Inuit folklore. Here it is. The Adlet are considered human-dog hybrids that are born to women who have chosen to mate with dogs. Now, folks, this is true. This is folklore. These strange offspring typically have human bodies with dog legs and hair and are prone to violence. And in most cases, the Adlet are much taller than ordinary humans and are known to engage in cannibalism, well, including killing and eating their own human relatives. Isn't this insane? I'm sorry. Okay. The next one is the skinless cantor. The Nukkalevi comes from the Scottish folklore and is sometimes called the devil of the sea. This strange creature is described as half human and half horse. Okay, what the hell am I reading? I mean, first we're talking about a half human, half dog, and now we got a half human, half horse. Good God, well, people, can you just stay with? I mean, whoa, we got too much moonshine drinking out there or something. Good God. Okay, here we go. I mean, people send me these articles to read, and all right, I just got to get focused here. Get focused. Half human and half. Let me talk about a horse's ass. Okay, half human, half horse. Was only interested in plaguing islanders living near his home in the sea. Well, I would imagine, sir. I mean, if you're singing a half human and half horse, you're probably singing too much. You're probably singing. Lay off the moonshine. Anyway, the Nukkalevi's head is 10 times larger than a human's, with a wide mouth resembling a pig snout. He also had one giant red eye that appeared to be burning like a flame. Man, I'm telling you, there's way too many people drinking moonshine. Way too many. Yeah, good God. I mean, I think it'd give anybody a heart attack. You seeing a half head and half human, half horse, and you got a half head, half human, half dog. Are human beings that bored? I mean, seriously, are we that bored? I mean, good God. I mean, take a look at a Rottweiler. Hey, how you doing? I mean, hide the horses in the Kentucky Derby, folks. I mean, I'm telling you, you got to hide those horses. Now we got the half human, half horse. All right, blimies. The headless man. Well, are creatures with origins in the Roman Empire. Now, these strange beings are described as having their faces on their torsos. There are actually two different types of blimies, and that are described in ancient texts, one with eyes on its chest and one with eyes on its shoulders. They are known for inhabit to remote areas in the world, but were originally found in Libya. All right, the demon giant, Gog Magog. The Gog Magog is a mythical creature belonging to the Celtic mythology. According to folklore, the Gog Magog is a humanoid, a giant that is over 14 tall, similar to a giant troll. Supposedly, the intimidating creature descended from a line of demons and is repulsive to all who see it. All right. The multi-limb monstrosities. Here's the multi-limb monstrosities. And one of the eeriest on this list can be found terrorizing the Greek mythology. According to this folklore, there's actually 3 separate beasts, each with its own collection of arms and heads, and each monster is described as having at least 50 heads and 100 arms, creating a ghastly image for anyone who saw any of them. Yeah. During their birth, Uranus even tried to push them back into the womb because of how horrid the sight of them was. Though horrifying to look at, these creatures actually proved to be incredibly useful after they were banished to Tartarus. And once they were grown, they helped the Greek gods fight the Titans by using their hundreds of arms to launch rocks at their enemies. So at least they were good for something. All right, well, there we go, if you like Greek mythology. Number 7, the licking umbrella, the Kasa Obake. So Japan has many ghost-like folklore creatures, but one of the most well-known is the Kasa Obake. The Kasa Obake is the ghost of an old umbrella. See, once an umbrella is old or broken enough, it will turn into a Kasa Obake, which resembles a giant umbrella with one eye to see and one leg to hop around on. They are also frequently depicted with long, snake-like tongues and are occasionally described as having 2 arms. While frightening to look at, the Kasa Obake is actually relatively harmless, but does enjoy scaring people by licking them. Okay, and the Yaramawahu. It's a creepy but cute vampire. So this is a strange little creature from Australian Aboriginal folklore. It's described as having the appearance of a short red man with a giant head and mouth, almost like a frog. Also like a frog, the Yarma Yahoo has suckers on the fingertips and toes. And unlike a frog, however, they use these suckers to suck blood of the unsuspecting passerbys to make him weaken. Once weakened, the creature swallows the stranger whole and goes to sleep. And upon waking up, he vomits the stranger up, and the stranger begins to turn into another Yarma Yahoo. Well, there you go, folks. If you've never heard of these folklore before, now you have, and now you can go to bed feeling completely, I don't know, refreshed, knowing that you have all the half animal and half dog and half. Miss Wilma doesn't watch the show. She gets scared of the paranormal stuff, but yeah, I'm telling you what. Yeah, she does. Miss Wilma gets really, really scared. Okay, well, let's get to. I can get to some of your questions, and then we're going to talk about smudging. So if you have any particular questions, we can jump into that, and then we'll also talk about smudging as well. Well, thank you very much, Joker, for the duck. Didn't talk about mermaids. Yeah, I don't know about mermaids. I mean, I know people who really, really believe. I know there are people who really believe it, but I don't know. Well, you know, the Yeti, I do believe that there is a Bigfoot. I do believe there's something, because there's just too much evidence. People say there's plenty of evidence. We have now audio recording. We have prints from a very large bipedal species that even people who are experts in footprint analysis, and they say it'd be virtually impossible for you to fake something like this, because it's very similar to, you know, our thumbprint. Each thumbprint is intrinsically different from one another, from yours, from mine. And the foot leaves a print as well. And they say it would be impossible for you to fake something like this. So we have footprints that there are podiatrists who absolutely said that this is something very unique. So there's something there. And not only that, but you got to remember, there's far too many credible people who've seen it. So now the difference between a Yeti, from my understanding, and I've talked to a couple of people who actually believe in Bigfoots and Yetis, is they actually say the Yetis are more aggressive than the Bigfoot. The Bigfoot are more intuitive, or they're more interested, I guess, curious as to what we're doing, but they're not as aggressive, from what many Bigfoot experts have told me. I'm not an expert in Bigfoot or the Yeti. However, I did investigate. I did go to Colorado once, and we did discover some type of I don't know, a shelter that was constructed, and these tree limbs were pulled from its roots. I have the video. They were actually pulled from their roots. And when you see them, no human being could have possibly pulled that tree. There's no human being could have done that. That would have taken incredible pressure. But what it was is these roots, these trees were literally pulled up and then leaned against the tree to make like this shelter. And that was, when I saw that, I thought that's incredibly strong. Yeah. But let's talk about, let's see, which mountain monster. Yeah. Watch Mountain. Well, actually, I met the guys. I met the Mountain Monster crew. They're really nice guys. They really are. They're good. They're good folks. And I know a lot of people are not big fans of the Mountain Monster show, but that's fine. You know, you don't have to be. But I still think, you know, they're still very, very cool guys. And if you've never met them, maybe hopefully you can one day. But yeah, unfortunately, it's, you know, the leader there, he passed away, and John Tice, he passed away, and that's you know, that's what happens, unfortunately. Okay. Yeah, let's see. I'm trying to think of here. Yeah, Wild Bill. No, I do like Wild Bill a lot. He's a cool guy. So we have a So this is interesting. We have a poll here on TikTok. Is Bigfoot real? And 74% said yes. And 26% said no. I just think there's something going on there. There's something going on. Yep. For those of you who don't know, I teach Bible studies on Sundays and Wednesdays, and I've been doing that for quite some time now, actually a long time. So Sundays and Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I teach Bible study. And we just started our study on Revelation. So I literally go verse by verse and explain everything in detail, what the symbols are and everything. So if you want to know more about Revelation, folks, tune in. It's Sundays and Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here. And but people always want to know about, let's jump to Revelation, the end of the chapter 22. Let's get to the heart and meat and potatoes of the Antichrist killing and raising from the dead. No, you can't get there. You got to get there slowly so you can understand it and not miss it. It's really important. Okay. So let's do a poll on TikTok. I'm curious, how many of you believe that smudging will remove negative energy? I'm just curious. I just want to like to know. So, or just, do you support smudging or saging? Or some people do smudging with sage, basically. I'm just curious. So you see, Michael says, I do. Okay. I do. Hetty. Jimmy says, yep. Fly, but troublesome as a believer. Okay. And there, yep. There's one no. I'm unsure. Yes. Okay. So a lot of you do. Yeah, I've talked about Tiffany. I have talked a lot about the Nephilim, and you might be new here. And the Nephilim actually is a mistranslation. Nephilim in the Septuagint is fierce warriors. Nephilim is not giants. That's not a proper translation of it. And the sons of God, that refers to the sons of God taking women. It was not demons, folks. Sorry, it was not. The sons of God were the children of Seth. Any rabbi will tell you this. So the sons of God, they were not demons. They were the children of Seth, and Seth was the third child of Adam and Eve. So, and also Genesis chapter 6, verse 4 tells you that the Nephilim existed before and after the sons of God took women to be their wives. So therefore, the Nephilim could not be offsprings of angels and women. So again, people they say that there's a lot of, I know it's on social media, but it's wrong. It's wrong. And there you go. The Nephilim, Genesis 6 verse 4 says the Nephilim existed before and after the sons of God took women to be their wives and had relations with them. So no, the Nephilim were not offspring of demons and angels, or demons and women. Not at all. Okay. So what is it saying here on, well, the flood is through sin. The flood had nothing to do with demon. And also in Matthew, Jesus made it very clear that angels will they do not marry. So smudging work. So we got 79% said yes, and 20%, well, almost, 20% said no. Okay, cool. Thank you. So most of you actually believe smudging does work. All right. No, yeah. Okay, let me just say this, because I know a lot of people are brand new here, and that's cool. That's cool, because people ask me all the time about the Nephilim. And when I do the lives, many times it's a repetition, because we have new folks. And I don't mind saying this, because it's important for people to know this, because there's so much information out there that's just incorrect. It's purposeful information, misinformation, just to sell something to you. But no, and keep in mind, St. Paul even tells us, don't waste your time arguing over endless genealogies and endless and myths such as the Nephilim. And we see this in 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 7, and 1 Timothy chapter 1, verse 4. What the reason is says, do not waste your time arguing over endless genealogies, is because the book of Enoch has this massive genealogy going all the way back to Satan. And remember, the Nephilim actually existed, the theory, in the 3rd and 2nd century BC. And so Paul even it says, don't argue over the myths of Nephilim. Look, Scripture mentions Nephilim, but yet gives absolutely no information as far as the genealogical information about them. Why? Because it had already been established. They had already, at that time, the people would have known who the Nephilim were. They were fierce warriors. Had nothing to do with the offspring of demons and angels. Sorry, it just doesn't. I mean, I'm not going to sensationalize it just because someone wants me to. It just doesn't. It's not what it means. In the Septuagint, it actually means fierce warriors. It has nothing to do with demons. Nothing at all. And also in the book of Enoch places the blame of sin on demons. And it takes the free will equation out of sin. And it gives you basically a scapegoat. That's one of the reasons why, quite honestly, it wasn't included in Scripture, because it takes all responsibility off our shoulders and says, nope, demons are all responsible for sin. Demons. That's not correct. It's theologically incorrect. So there you go. The Nephilim were not the offspring of demons and women. The demons did not take women to be their wives. It was the children of Seth. And that's, people hate when I say that, but I guess I'm not gonna sensationalize. Yeah, people just say that just to scare people, just to sensationalize it. And like I said, even St. Paul said, don't argue. So that's why the book of Enoch, because the book of Enoch, Paul was very familiar with the whole Nephilim and all this other nonsense. So, well, again, the translation, that the book of Enoch is not in the Bible, and it's not in the Bible because of that reason. So that's one of the reasons, not just the only reason, but that's one of the reasons why the early church fathers did not include the book of Enoch in Scripture, because number one, it's mistranslated with the Nephilim, and number two, it places the blame of sin on demons and removes our accountability from the equation completely. And that's theologically incorrect. For those of you who don't know, I have two different screens that I'm running the show on. Okay, I'm running on this screen here and this screen here. So I have lots of people asking questions on TikTok, which I appreciate, but I also have a lot of people asking me questions on Messenger, on TikTok, people sending me messages there. So just be aware that I'm not going to be able to answer every one of them. So the question is this: smudging. And what is this all about? And does it actually work? Well, there's a lot of people who say, no, it does not work. It does not exist. You can't do it, period. That's it. I don't know if I necessarily believe that, because there's actually scientific benefits, health benefits that can be scientifically proven with saging. Did you know that? Or smudging? Well, thank you. I appreciate that, Likes. I have no objections with people who smudge. My grandmother was a shaman. My grandmother was Native American. So I don't have, as a matter of fact, I have let me see if I can find a picture. She asked me when I was in the seminary if I would baptize her. And that meant a lot to me. And so I did. And she had a beautiful soul. She was just such a sweetheart of a woman. Let's see. Yep, here it is right here. So that's my grandmother right there. And that's me when I was in the seminary, when I baptized her. There you go. Yeah, she was a firecracker. She was a sweetheart of a woman. She was just an amazing human being who would give the shirt off her back to help somebody. She just was just that type of person. And I can't really see her very well here, but that's maybe a little bit better picture. So that's my grandma. Yep. There you go. And yeah, she was Cherokee, and she was a sweetheart. My grandfather was Cherokee as well, and she belonged to a group, a Pocahontas group. there was actually a Pocahontas group that she belonged to. And I think my grandfather belonged to the Red Face Americans or Red Face Men. I have to ask Uncle John about that, but I know it was Red Face, and I think it was Red Face American or Red Face Men. I can't remember, but they were both Cherokee, and cool people, just very, very cool people. And my grandmother, she smudged, and I have no issues, none, with smudging at all. So let's talk about this, because I think it's important. Let me just share a couple things that's very, very important with you guys. And by the way, this comes from the Tribal Trade website, and I want to give a shout out to them. It says, we're here to share 5 important reasons why you might want to consider start smudging with sage or other sacred medicines. It says we've helped thousands of people find sacred medicines that are just right for them, as well as why they should smudge. And now it's your turn. So we'll definitely want to get a hold of Bundle's smudge kit as soon as possible. Smudging rituals have taken place all over the world. They've been around for centuries. And here they list 5 major benefits from smudging with sage. And again, this is from Tribal Trade. And so number 1, for those of you who don't know, they say, number 1, smudging with sage reduces over 94% of harmful airborne bacteria in a room. Now, again, we're not talking about anything mystical here. So just for argument's sakes here, we're talking about maybe a scientific approach to this, that there's actual health benefits. And they say that is a huge reason to start smudging right there. And 94% of harmful airborne bacteria in a room. There is scientific research, they say, that has been done that proves that the smoke's ability to disinfect and purify the air was maintained for up to 24 hours. Now you can start saving money on Febreze, they say, and ignite those smudge bowls and sticks and bring on the purification. So they say, now that we know that smudging acts as an antiseptic and it's disinfecting the air that we breathe, what could these other 4 benefits be? Honestly, if you think about this, and this is the God's honest truth, not to have anything wrong with against Febreze, but so Febreze is not natural. Febreze is chemicals, and yet people spray Febreze like it's oxygen, and you're breathing in that stuff. You're breathing in those chemicals into your lungs. We don't really know what we're breathing in, and that's that to me is concerning, because you don't know, and how many, because most of us have probably used Febreze at one time. I like the winter, the pine Febreze, and I've used that plenty of times. And sometimes you just kind of got to be careful about that, and because you don't know what you're dealing with. And sometimes, if you look at the chemical ingredients, it's like, what? So even in pets, so pets is pretty serious. Matter of fact, let's talk about this. This is actually from Febreze.com. Sodium citrate, the odor neutralizer. It's in the bubbly. They say it's in the bubbly in your club soda and the fresh test and citrus and pine needles. Cyclodextrin, the odor trapper, and they say it's in summer sweet corn and potatoes. The dual PSB, the polymer was specifically created to tackle odors in hard to wash fabrics. That's the odor magnet. Fragrance, the odor converter. Flowers, fruits, fresh rain. They said we recreated natural scents in Febreze by replicating their molecular composition. In other words, it's a chemical compound. And again, I'm not trying to, they say it's absolutely not toxic at all. They say we thoroughly check our ingredients and they're safe, both on their own. They said that and the combined formula. Okay. But there are some people say that it is toxic. Procter & Gamble says, quote, our entire line of Febreze products is safe for use around both human and pets when used according to the label instructions, but air fresheners and other volatile organ compounds can irritate your eyes, nose, throat, and reason for people respiratory problems to use other means. Look, look, I know people that argue passionately against these air purifiers. So I'm just giving that out there, just throwing that out there. Okay, so let's talk about number 2. They say the tribal culture here says smudging with sage neutralizes the positive ions in the room. So it makes the energy around us more free. But when you are stressed, angry, or tense, there's a buildup of positive ions in the air that is being released from your body. The energy in the room becomes stagnant with an imbalance of positive ions. Now, just to be clear, positive ions aren't the same thing as positive vibes. Positive ions are harmful and can cause us to feel tired and burnt out. Smudging turns the positive ions back to negative ones, and therefore the practice of smudging cleanses and purifies the atmosphere. So again, this is from tribal culture if you want to check this out. There's number 3, burning sage increases your clarity, awareness, and also improves your mood. And they say this is not just our opinion. Studies have shown that smudging with sage makes you think more clearly and also enhances your memory too. It's also been shown to quicken your senses as your awareness goes up. And number 4, the smoke from the smudging medicine has been used to help aid lung, brain, and skin function. So he says, or this tribal culture group says, research from over 50 countries have found that smoke has been used since ancient times to help improve your respiratory system, your nervous system, and your skin too. And once the fumes become inactive, they act as a natural air purifier. And 5th, the smoke heightens your state of mind so you can think pure thoughts and feel good physically and spiritually. Indigenous people have been smudging since the beginning of time. He says, growing up, I was taught from my elders that smudging gets rid of the negative energies and it also heals us on spiritual level. As Native American people or Indigenous people, we believe that the sacred medicines are gifts from the Creator that we were given to help us heal our mind, body, and spirit. So there are some benefits that come from smudging. So a lot of people are saying they're supporting it as well. There are benefits. So how do you smudge, and what's the point of it, and what else are there other benefits? This is from Researchify, and Researchify says very much similar, echoed what I just read from the other group, and from the Native American people, the Lakota, the Chumash people, Cherokee. Sage has been used in Egyptian, Roman, Greek medicine, Native American healing practice for thousands of years. So it's not something that just came out. It's not something that's brand new. Dried sage leaves can be used as a spice in cuisine. Sage is also available as liquid spray, lozenge, pill, or tablet for internal use. There's so many things that's actually beneficial for sage. For mental health, let's see. Let me try to find let's just get to what they say is supposed to be good for. How do you do it? All right, a spiritual tool. It's been performed for centuries to connect to the spiritual realm or improve to intuition. Healers, lay people in ancient societies, employed burning sage to achieve healing state. Certain types of sage, such as salvia sages and white prairie sage, contain thujone. And thujone is somewhat psychoactive. And according to research, it is present in various plants employed in cultural and spiritual ceremonies to boost intuition. Sometimes in sweat lodges, they will burn this as well. They do believe that it helps dispel negative energy. So smudging can also be performed as a ritual to purge negative energy from yourself or your area. That can include past traumas, terrible experiences, other people's negative energies. Choosing to participate in a ritual might start a mental shift. They say as well. So there are absolutely, their belief is that it can help remove the negative energy. Have I saged before? Yes, I have. Number one, because my grandmother, but number two, there are many apartment complexes that will not allow you to use incense, not church incense, because with church incense, we use a charcoal. And the charcoal is a pretty good size. Usually it's about that size. And when you burn it, it really does. I mean, it really smokes, especially when you use the incense. And I use the incense that I absolutely love. But it's a church incense that I use. And we actually call it in the church, we call it sacramental. That is a sacramental because where we use the incense during liturgy. So I always have mass. If I am performing the solemn rite, the minor rite of exorcism, more than the solemn rite, but if I'm performing the minor rite of exorcism, then I will always have mass at that location. So that is something that I do. Yes, I have. I have Janine. Janine's asking about the Palo Santo. I tell you what, my eyes, the allergies are terrible. They are just. One day it's 55 degrees in here, and the next day now we have snow. It is insane. It truly is. And so just bear with me here because my eyes are so dry. I hate that. But they gotten worse as they get really bad during the winter. But I don't know about your eyes. My eyes are terrible. Okay. And I'll answer your questions too. Oh, you're very welcome. Very welcome. So the question then is incense. What incense are you referring to? Are you referring to the incense that I use? Let me know what you're referring to, and then I'll because there's a lot. You can get quite a bit. Oh, the one that I use the Autumn Pontifical incense. That absolutely smells amazing. I mean, the aroma is just amazing. There's an also, so it's there's you can buy that on several sorts, but it's the Pontifical incense. There's the monastery incense, the sweet myrrh incense. That's really smells good. I can't take the incense that's really overwhelming or powerful. There's one the incense that really is just a phenomenal. I think probably my favorite would be the frankincense apostolic incense. That is the best incense that I think you can buy as far as the smell. It is really amazing. It truly is amazing. And yeah, that's a good idea. You should put that on your website. Maybe I'll buy a big bag of it and then sell that because it really is good. I mean, it smells it is terrific. And so let's get into this. So how do you smudge? How do you perform a sage cleansing? Gloria is a great smell too. Yeah. And again, I want to remind folks, for those of you on TikTok, it's not because I'm ignoring your question. It's because there's a lot of people asking questions right now on two different computers. So, all right, well, I'll work on that. I'm going to have to buy a lot more because if people, they're not going to buy tons more. But by the way, for those of you who just tuned in, I want to remind you that I do have on my store, I do have the Benedictine necklaces. So this has the front of the Benedictine and the back of the Benedictine medal. And Saint Benedict is the patron saint for exorcism. What I love about this one is, like I said, it has this metal thing here, and you can pull it up or you can pull it down here. It just depends on how large, obviously wide your neck is. But I love mine. This is mine. This is the one that I wear. But I obviously took it off to share it with you. But I do have a few of those available now. So you might want to, you can go to bishopjameslong.com and bishopjameslong.com and click on the store link, and it's there. No, I do have, the problem is with Benedict, I can get a Benedictine ring. I just need to know your size. That will be the only problem. Performing a sage ritual. How do you perform a sage ritual? Well, let me tell you. First of all, you buy a sage smudge stick. So a lot of people like white sage, lavender. Some people like that. Some people don't. Then you find a bowl to hold it over, obviously, and then also set up a cup of water to extinguish it. Now, some people don't like the water to extinguish it because it could ruin, depending on how dry it is. Some people like sand, and they put it out through sand. So you got to make sure that if you're going to use it, you make sure it's properly extinguished. Another belief is when you begin to do this, you open the door open every door and every window in your home, every single one of them. Well, again, I've just gone over the scientific benefits for saging. I just did it. So if you're just tuning in, I just went over that whole entire thing, explaining how. I just did the scientific explanation. If you don't want to do it, you don't do it. But my grandmother was Native American. My grandfather was Native American. I have Native American blood. I have no problem with saging at all. None. At all. Again, the reason is I was saying, because when I go to people's homes, especially if they have an apartment, they will not allow you, because when I do mass at their home, they will not allow you to have the incense. They won't allow you. So people ask me all the time, well, what can I do? What can I use when you leave? And I ask them, well, do you have history? What do you think of saging? I find out what their belief system is, because you have to respect that. And, if they say, yeah, I love the sage, then, okay, you educate them on saging and what they can do. Now, that is not considered a sacramental of the church. So please understand that. There's a difference. A sacramental of the church is something that is used during liturgy. So in the Catholic Church, we cannot refer to saging as sacramental. It is not. It is a cleansing, but as far as a sacramental, no, it's not. And that's okay. It doesn't have to be. But we have to respect each other's rights and cultures and beliefs. We don't have to agree to them, but we need to respect them. So if you wish to sage, again, not doing it as a sacramental of the church because you're not having mass, then you open every door and every window. And then finally, you light the stick, and when it catches fire, you got to blow the rest of it out, allow the embers to start to smoke. The belief is that you're to then set your intention, whatever it might be, to calm the stress, the anxiety, to whatever it might be that you're trying to do, and say a prayer of cleansing. Now, I'm going to be honest. Here's what I will tell you, and this is from me as a Christian, a Catholic exorcist. And yes, people ask me all the time, are Catholics Christian? Well, yeah. Of course we're Christians. I mean, we don't worship Satan. We worship Christ. So yeah, we're Christian. Absolutely. We're supposed to be. Sometimes people don't act like they're Christian. I mean, they're constantly judging and condemning people. But from my perspective, this is just my opinion. When I use a demonic, if I'm in a demonic case, if I'm in a true demonic infestation issue, and let me make this clear, this is not a knock on anybody. This is just me as an exorcist. I've served for 2 decades now. When I enter into a home that has a demonic infestation, my faith relies on Christ, and I have never used sage to combat a demonic entity. Now, again, if someone has, then that is their right. But I do not. Well, thank you, John Paul. That's very nice. I do not. But I will tell you this. The moment that I begin to use sacramentals of the church, with holy water, oil, the moment that I begin to pray the rosary, the reaction is violent. An extreme reaction occurs. So that's just from my experience. Now, again, other people may say, nope, I have used sage during a demonic case, and that's their experience. I can't tell them that they're lying, because that would be inappropriate. That would be judging them. But I can tell you, as the exorcist for the church, I have never used sage, and I never will use sage to combat demonic entity. Now, energy is different. Negative energy, for example, energy, Einstein, this is not science. Einstein explained energy. Let me explain energy to you like this. I've said this before. You're walking down the street. Someone's walking towards you. You don't know the person, but you know you don't want to know the person. That person is emitting so much negative energy. You're like, nope, I don't want to be around them. That's energy. It's energy. Same way you walk into a room and then someone walks in a room and they say nothing. Their very presence, people flock to that person. They don't have to say a word. People just flock to them. It's positive energy. You and I emit energy. So do I have an issue with people using sage to combat negative energy, to try to help calm the mind and with impurities and cleanse the room? Absolutely, I have no issue with that. But I am not. This is just me. I am not going to use sage for a demonic case. I'm going to use sacramentals for a demonic case. Do you understand the difference? Okay. So I think we have to we have to explain the difference, because there is a difference. Now, I think there's great benefits for saging, as I just told you, health benefits. And that there's nothing wrong with that. But here's where you get tricky here. This is where you get tricky. I don't believe in magic. This is just me. And again, if you do, that's fine. You believe in it. I don't. I believe that healing and power comes from God, and that I do not have the authority to summon up this magic with my own power, my own volition, and then use that against evil. I am merely an instrument that God is using to combat evil. So I don't. Maybe some people say I'm ultra conservative. That's fine. If that's what you people believe, that's what people believe. But I do not summon magic. If some people are, I don't judge them. That's their right, and they have. That's not my place to judge. But for me, I don't summon magic to fight demonic entities. What I do is pray to the Blessed Mother. I pray to Saint Michael. I pray to the saints above in heaven. I pray to God, because they're far, far more powerful than I ever will be. And so for me, I call upon the Holy of Holies. I call upon the holy ones who come before me. And I call upon Saint Benedict. I call upon Saint Michael. I call upon Mary. And I will tell you this, and this is the God's honest truth. I have performed 30 exorcisms on people who were validly possessed, truly possessed. I'm not talking about people running around screaming, hooting, hollering, and carrying on and acting silly. I'm talking about legitimate possession, levitation, markings of body, markings appearing on bodies, the contortion of the body, almost serpent-like. The multiple pitches in the voice, the screaming. The eyes going solid black, those things but I'll tell you that the moment, and whether or not you believe this or not, that's your right. That is your right. And I don't judge you if you say, well, I kind of don't know if I agree with that. You have that right to do that. But I will tell you this, and this is the truth. The very moment that I pick this up and I begin to pray this is the very moment that I irritate the demons. The very moment I began to say, Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now at the hour of our death. Amen. The demons are furious. And the reaction is fierce. That's when it gets real. As real as far more than a heart attack. That's when you realize that there is something other than God that exists in this universe. That this other thing that exists other than God wants nothing more than for you to reject God and walk away from his grace. And that is, I will tell you, folks, the moment I bring my rosary out and begin to pray, that is the moment when the exorcism begins. That is the moment. And it is not, and I want to make this very clear, it's not because I don't pray to Mary as a god. I do not worship Mary. Catholics do not worship Mary. We never have, never will. But the Blessed Mother deserves our respect. She deserves our veneration. And she said yes to God when many would say no. And so we call upon, through the litany of saints, we call upon the angels. We invoke the saints. Because when an exorcist is present before a demonic entity, the exorcist is not there. They're not there by themselves. And I'm not talking about having an assistant with you. That is why we pray the litany of saints. The litany of saints is invoking the saints and archangels and angels above in heaven. We believe that the angels and saints are standing side by side with the exorcist during the prayer. Just as there are demonic entities trying to stand by the side of the demonic entity trying to cause havoc in your life. It truly is a battle of intellect and will. And I've never been let down. Never been let down. But we'll talk about that in just a second. Let me just say this. So if you want to sage, certainly you can. You can. There's nothing wrong with saging. But the reason is I've made this dissertation, if you will, is because I want to make it very clear that I don't want anyone going on social media saying, oh, Bishop Long says you can sage demons. I never said that. I never said that, never will, because I don't believe that. Well, thank you very much, Billy. That's very kind of you. I don't believe that. But if you want to sage to just cleanse the area, cleanse the home, there's nothing wrong with it. I find it. I don't find that appalling. I don't find that against Christianity. I don't find that against God. If you want to do it to calm, just to soothe, people light incense because they like the smell. They're trying to just calm their mind. Okay, then do it. But I'm not going to put my faith in incense. I'm not going to put my faith in sage. And I just explained to you, my grandmother was Cherokee, was full Cherokee. My grandfather was Cherokee. So I come from Cherokee family. But I'm not going to put my faith in sage. I put my faith in God. That is where I put my faith, and the sacraments of the church. So they say, what many people say, do this, you light the intention for the room, whatever you want to calm your mind, whatever it is, you walk around the room, you can wave the sage stick so the smoke drifts into the corners, along walls, around windows, ceiling fans. Some people like a feather, that's fine. And you, as you're doing this, you think of the smoke absorbing the energy, removing the energy, the positive energy, replacing the negative energy. Now, some people say you give yourself a sage shower some people will do it with a feather as well, and that's fine. And then they extinguish the stick, and that's it. But bad energy and a fallen angel. Oh, that's a good question. Oh, Bridget. Okay, Bridget, that's a great question. What's the difference between bad energy and a fallen angel? Okay. Imagine, and I mentioned this earlier. Imagine this, Bridget, or anybody, have you ever been in a location where you saw somebody that you didn't know? It could be on a bus, it could be out in the public, it could be wherever. It doesn't matter. It's walking down the road, walking down the sidewalk, or in a park, or at a mall, whatever. Have you ever been in a location where you saw someone and you said, no, I don't want to be around that person? They don't have to say a word to you. They're just, something is telling you, stay away. Stay away. That's energy. That's what this is. That's net energy. The same thing, like I mentioned, if someone just walks into the door, walks into a room and doesn't have to say a word. When I was in the seminary, there was a monk. I'll never forget this man. He would walk into the room, a room full of people, and just he was a Benedictine monk. His very presence just made people immediately stop talking and just observe. I mean, it was just because not because we were intimidated by this monk. Everybody was just in awe. Just his very presence would just, you're talking to somebody and here he comes. You're like, yeah, okay, hold on one second, and you just out of respect. I don't know. It's subconscious. I don't know, but we just kind of when he walked into the room, we just got quiet, and many times he kept doing this, kept looking around. So did I do something wrong? And people, we get a chuckle, but he was just that type of person. That's energy. However, the difference between negative energy and a demonic entity is this. With negative energy, you can recognize it. Oh, that's not good. I don't want any part of that. I'm just going to go over here. That energy is different from a demonic's negative energy. I'm going to use this energy to harm you. There's a big difference. You walk down the street, you see a person, no, I'm just not going to leave this person alone. Don't want anything to do with them. You walk into a room that has a demonic infestation, and now you know that energy is going to be used against you. You're the target. That is a big difference between the two. And the energy is just intense. It is very intense versus if you see someone walking down the street, like, I don't feel comfortable. No, something's not right about that person. No. Now, when you walk into a demonic infestation case, that energy is already affecting you physically, emotionally, psychologically. It's already working on your intellect and will. Do you see the difference is far more intense that sometimes people will, people have described it, and I will even describe it like this as high, many times as high. If you're in a location that has high EMF, that's electromagnetic field, high EMF readings, people have described it as nauseous. You get headaches, you feel dizzy, lightheaded, you feel sick to your stomach. Some people have described pain in the back. The knees begin to shake a little bit. So I can tell you that when you're in the presence of a demonic entity, you know that something is present that is 1,000,000 times worse than that energy that you felt from that negative person that was walking down the street. Because as I mentioned, that negative energy that was walking down the street was just walking down the street. Versus that negative energy that's walking down the street stops, turns towards you, and then comes at you. Do you see? Huge difference between the two. Huge difference. Oh yeah, John Paul says, I use Gloria incense around my home for cleansing and have it blessed too. I got to tell you, I love the Gloria incense. Love it. Gloria incense is beautiful. It smells really good. But see, also, and a lot of people ask me, why don't I ever use incense versus smudging in homes? Well, because you have to be respectful of the people that live there. Because, for example, if I have mass, when I perform the minor rite of exorcism on at someone's location, I like using sacramentals of the church, the holy water, incense, oil. I use those items very, very, and you should. But also, I have to remember that the incense, for some people, it affects their sinuses quite terribly. And then now they're having a sinus infection. It's terrible. It really does cause a lot of people to sneeze and to feel like they're choking. So I've got to take that in consideration as well. Smudging, on the other hand, for some people, they don't have that reaction. So now there's a no cough or non-cough incense that you can buy. But I've been to many churches, many Catholic churches where they buy these, and they're more expensive, and they buy these non-cough or non-irritable sinus, incense. But the moment that they put the incense in there, even though they spent a lot of money for the non-irritable sinus incense, even though they put that in there, people immediately they start coughing. It happens every single time. I've been to a Catholic church. Every time, even though it's supposed to be non-irritating, the moment the priest picks up the top of the thurible and places the incense, people every time, because again, people just assume that's what's going to happen to them. But I that's what I do. I prefer when I'm at someone's home and I am performing the minor rite of exorcism, what I will do in that case is I will try, because many apartments won't allow you to bring charcoal. Like I said, they won't allow you to bring charcoal. You can't. Now there's incense cones that you can buy. That's frankincense, and you can use. I have done that before, where I can use the incense, the Gloria incense, on the incense cone. You have to be creative, because when you're going to someone's apartment and the apartment doesn't allow you to burn charcoal inside, you can get them in trouble because it's a potent smell. And if the neighbors smell it, they can complain to the landlord, and they find out you're burning charcoal, they could evict them. You see the problem? So you have to be respectful of that. So, okay. Sage land, yes. Kim, you can. The question is, can you sage land? You can sage land, especially with the Native American heritage. You do. However, when I go to a home, I again, if I'm going to, negative energy that I just talked about is different than demonic. So when I am dealing with the demonic entity, I am going to use the sacramentals of the church. That is what I use, and that is what I have been trained in, and that is what I get the most reaction from, especially with the rosary. So, but they are not harmful. Zimke, I've heard that before. I live in a haunted house and it's active most of the time, but they are not harmful. Here's the deal with this, and I tell people this, and I've said this before on the videos that I made. I don't want my house to be haunted. I don't want anything in my home besides the Holy Spirit. Now, if my mom is here, okay. If it is, a loved one, if it is my animals that's passed on, I don't have an issue with that. But I don't want to have a home that has a bunch of human spirit. I don't want that, because that can attract something else. And that's what I don't want. And it's not because I don't want even my mom. I don't need my mom to be here in my home, because I know that she's at peace in heaven. So I don't need that. What I need is the Holy Spirit present here, especially as an exorcist. I don't want anything here, anything, if it's not of God. I don't want anything here. Because what you got to be very careful, because if you don't, and you start having activity in your home and you think, well, that's not violent, the little things are moving, it's not really that big of a deal. That's where a demonic entity could easily trap you and make you think, oh, it's not a big deal if you start communicating. They're not hurting us. They're not screaming at us, not biting us, it's not pinching us, there's nothing yet, because you haven't given the invitation. Do you understand? Once you give the invitation, then violence begins. The invitation could be what? Very simple. Thank you. Very simple. The invitation could be as simple as this. Is there anyone here? Can you make a noise? Now, of course, I do not, I rebuke any noise here, and that's not the invitation that I give. So as an example, that's what I mean. That's an invitation. Now you never mentioned the word demonic. You never said, I invite that whatever evil thing. You never said that. Doesn't matter. You've given the invitation as anyone here. That's the invitation. As simple as that. As innocent as that. That's why you do not do that. Do not investigate your own home. Do not investigate your own home because you have an emotional connection, because you live there. And once you do that, that's when the demonic can easily manipulate you and cause you to do things that you ordinarily would not do. 100,000 likes there on TikTok. That is fantastic. Thank you. How does Zach and the crew stay safe? Well, they have their own faiths. Zach knows the dangers that he gets involved with, and he's gone public with it. I've talked to him about provoking, but I told him this. And this is very important. I want you to understand this. And I've told this to you guys before. When you beat your chest and you're in a haunted location and you say, come on, demon, I dare you to do something. You're not so tough. Do something to me. Come on, I dare you. Just like I told Zach. I said, Zach, you haven't provoked this thing. You realize that? And he looked at me like, what do you mean? So you can beat your chest like King Kong all day long. You haven't provoked the demonic entity at all, because all the demonic entity is doing is literally inches within your face. Come on, demon, I dare you to do something. And the demon is right here saying, oh, thank you for the invitation. And I will. When you're lonely and depressed and your wife and your husband leaves you and your dog dies and you're suffering from severe loneliness, that's when I'm going to provoke back. And that's when all hell breaks loose in your home. What you've done is invite. You've invited. You've given the invitation. You've not provoked. Provoking is when you begin to pray. When you go into a location, because you're provoking the entity to manifest. Beating your chest and saying, I dare you to do something. The demons aren't, the demons are like, okay, big guy. Ooh, scary. You're beating your chest. You're pumping your chest out and showing us your muscles. Look out now. We're afraid. Mr. Protein, they really don't care. The only thing they care about is tricking you, enticing you, causing what's called ordinary demonic activity through the temptation of causing you to invite. And that is all they care about. And then when they do that, you've given them the invitation, and that's the invitation that they need to cause problems. That's the way it works. Yeah, that's the way it works. Well, Black, the shadow people, I've talked about shadow people before. I've done a lot of investigations before. Waverly Hills. Waverly Hills was my first time that I ever investigated. That was that's a long time ago. 35 years ago. Man, that's when I first investigated Waverly Hills. And I was with a buddy of mine. And we decided to go over there and check it out because it was abandoned. It was an old abandoned cemetery. Not cemetery. It was an old abandoned sanatorium. And the owner at that time didn't care. I mean, he wanted you to go up. He didn't care. You went on up there, and people actually went up there and tore everything up. He didn't care. Stole copper. He basically wanted it tore down to build a great big huge Christ statue. So unfortunately, a lot of people went up there and did a lot of damage. But that was my first time that I actually investigated a location. It was at Waverly Hills. And so me and my buddy, I know Bishop David Price, and he's on the board there, and we've been there many times. I've been there many, many times since. But we were walking, and I was telling him exactly where this location, where this window was, where we just walked right on in. And when we walked in, it was a huge open room. And there was papers everywhere. There's big file things, cabinets, and papers of patients, information of patients. And there was an old wheelchair that was on the side, and it was rusty. But we kept hearing this faint cry. and it sounded like it was coming from upstairs. And it sounded like a child. And we thought, man, maybe a child got lost. They kind of went up there and now they're afraid. So we went up the stairs and it got louder. And then we walked down the hallway. It was echoey. You can hear the echo of this child. And we knew it was a child because, so as we got closer and closer, then I went into a room. It's where the restrooms were, and there were stalls, big metal. They were the metal stalls. They weren't the cheap plastic ones. They're big, heavy duty metal stalls. And I opened the door, the first door, and of course nothing was there. I mean, even the commode was destroyed. I went to the second one and nothing, and I went to the third one. And just as I was getting ready to push the third door open, it sounded like Arnold Schwarzenegger or somebody, He-Man, took a sledgehammer and they hit the inside of that stall, and it shook the whole thing just shook. Man, I get goosebumps just thinking about it. I ran so fast, and I was playing football back then. I ran so fast. I skipped every step on the way down. I think I was thinking I was Superman. I was just gone. And when we got to the bottom, to that wheelchair, the wheel started spinning around like this. And that was a rusty wheelchair. You could see the rust, and it was just spinning like this. We took off. We got out of that place and said, nope, nope. But that was the first place that I've ever investigated. And I've been there. I've been back there many, many times. I encourage you, if you've never been to Kentucky, Louisville, Kentucky, check it out. I love history. So I love historical locations. I love them. So Waverly Hills in Louisville, Kentucky was the place to go to if you had tuberculosis. It was one of the premier hospitals in the world for TB. And tuberculosis was incredibly dangerous, especially in Kentucky. It was bad, very, very contagious. As a matter of fact, for those of you who know Miss Wilma's dad was a patient at Waverly Hills. So Miss Wilma doesn't really talk fondly of Waverly Hills because she remembers her dad when he couldn't go out and say hello to him. So she remembers. But if you go to Waverly and do a tour there, for the historical purpose, it's very, very cool. And even overnight, it's amazing. I did it overnight there many times. But you will see shadow people, and you will see lots of shadow people. And there's a lot of theories on shadow people, lots of them. Some say they're all demonic. Some people they're not. I do not buy that all spirits are demonic. I do, because the Bible says you have to test the spirit. Well, why test the spirit if all spirits are demonic? Doesn't quite make sense. Plus, in Scripture, by the way, the disciples thought they were seeing a ghost when they saw Jesus. It says it in Scripture after Jesus was crucified. They said it's a ghost. And people say, well, it meant demon. No, it did not. That's not what the Septuagint says. It says ghost. Very clear. So anyway, or when Jesus was walking on water, they thought they were seeing a ghost. So again, you have to remember that tells you that the disciples had the concept of what ghosts were. So if ghosts don't exist, they wouldn't have had a concept of them. So there we go. Test the spirits. Well, again, for example, if I do a good question, how do you test the spirits? When I do an investigation and I do what's called EVP work, that's electronic voice phenomena. Billy, I'll talk about that in a second. If I do EVP work, that's electronic voice phenomena, I will use a digital recorder, and I will always ask three preliminary questions. Do you confess Yahweh is your God? Yahweh, the Hebrew word for God. Do you confess Jesus Christ is your personal Lord and Savior? Do you kneel before the cross of our Lord? And one time I got a response, Class A EVP is as clear as you're hearing me. That's it, Class A. Class B, you can hear me, but there's a distortion. And Class C, you know that there's something there, but you really, it has a hard time because it has a hard time to hear it out, to hear the words. And it's funny because some of these paranormal shows, with all due respect, okay, some of these shows, look, they capture a Class A EV, or they capture an EVP, and it sounds like this. And the person says, "Did you hear that? It says I'm hungry. I'm going to eat you for supper." No, I just heard. That's all I heard. I didn't hear any of that. I mean, but seriously, I mean, it's true. It's because some of them are like, "Did you hear that? It just read the book of Moby Dick." Dude, it lasted 2 seconds. I mean, it really is. It really is. Some of it, it's kind of like, okay, that's a little much now. That's a little much. But I got a Class A EVP, and my question was, do you confess Yahweh is your God? And within a couple seconds, and I didn't hear it. That would be, if I heard it, that would be called a disembodied voice. I did not hear the response, but the recording, I got the recording, and it said, "Hell no." And when I played it back, I thought, okay, so all right, let's go. But that's what I do. I do the preliminary questions. Anytime if I do EVP work, I always do preliminary questions. Sorry, I had a laugh there. I think Pope Francis is. I understand there's a lot of debate right now with Pope Francis. There's a lot of conservative Catholics that are not happy with him. There's a lot of liberal Catholics that are. I don't get into the politics of being anti this or pro this. I just the only thing that I'm going to say about Pope Francis is that he whether you like him or not, whether or not you like his theology. I know Benedict was not a fan of his theology, which is fine. But whether or not you like him or not, I will tell you that the man has spent his entire life fighting corrupt government and fighting for the poor. And because of that, I think there's at least some admiration needs to be given and respect, because he has, and even putting his life at risk by speaking against the Venezuelan government. I mean, it was very corrupt. And you did that, during his time. That was dangerous, very dangerous. So I think we have to show a little bit of courtesy there. I mean, he's done a lot for the poor, and regardless of whether or not you like his theology, and I understand some people don't. I get it. Because I understand it. But still, you got to give him props. I think that's important. Oh yeah, with the natives. Yeah, I agree with that. Oh, this I had someone was asking about the Gates of Hell Cemetery. I've got to be careful. I don't want to give too much information about as far as where it is, because I don't want people going there. Because it was my team that actually was the very first team to ever investigate the Gates of Hell Cemetery. I know that, folks. People say this, and it really irritates me when they say, "Well, I've been in the paranormal field for 30 years," and they're 35 years old. "I've been an exorcist for 20, and they're 22 years old. I mean, come on. That's so stupid. It really is. It's stupid. And when people do that, all they're doing is discrediting themselves, because people can, look you up and find out how old you are, and they'll find out, well, dude, you've been an exorcist for 20 years and you're 22 years old. Okay, you go, 2-year-old exorcist. I mean, all that's going to do is discredit you. It does nothing, because people, the old timers, and I consider me a little bit of an old timer because I've been here for more than 20 years. We know who was in the field and who wasn't 20 years ago. We know. I was there. I know who was in the field. And so all these people saying, "I've been in the field for 25 years. Yeah, but you were never in any of the Yahoo groups. You never communicated in the paranormal community. There was nothing ever about your team. And so it just kind of like, okay. It just little questionable there. So that's how Yahoo groups. That's how we communicated. That's how we did it. So the Gates of Hell Cemetery, my team was the very first one ever to investigate that. No one had ever, because it's an old abandoned cemetery, and no one even knew it even existed. I will say this: it's in Kentucky, and it was my team that came up with the name Gates of Hell Cemetery. But stay away from it. I'm telling you now, stay away from it, because folks, I'm already bombarded with cases. Please, I can't take any more cases. I just can't. I got too many requests as it is. And if you go to Gates of Hell Cemetery and then all hell breaks loose and you start provoking, then you're going to be contacting Bishop Long and you want me to fix it. I can't throw fairy dust up and fix your problem. If you're going out to a place that I've told you a million times to stay away from and you still go to it, then don't come to me and expect me to clean up your mess. It doesn't work that way. Look, I'm not trying to be rude. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I'm not the cleanup crew. So if you go to these places after clergy have told you a million times, don't do it, then you got to deal with the consequences are yours. And this is not something you don't just show up to some location if it has a demonic infestation and then you say hocus pocus, magic, poof, poof, and then the demon goes away. It doesn't work that way. Sometimes it will take multiple rites, multiple blessings. Sometimes it could take up to years. It could take years to do this. This is not something that is just happens hocus pocus, and then you wave your little wand around, and then all of a sudden the demon says, "Oh, scary!" He said the magic words, and they run away. This could be a long fight. So if you're going to do this, then you need to understand that there's consequences for it, and don't expect someone to go clean it up after you. Stay away from it. Just stay away from it. I had several people already have had people contact me. Well, Bishop Long, I know that you said a million times, don't go to Gates of Hell. We found out where it was, and we went there, and now this person has this problem or that problem. Well, I told you not to do it. So why did you do it? Well, I was just curious. Well, now you just found out the truth. So now what do you expect me to do? You're expecting me to come down to Florida? You're expecting me to come down up to New York and fix the problem because you came to Kentucky and you visited Waverly Hills and you found out the Gates of Hell, and I've told you a million times don't go there, and now you went there. Now all hell is breaking loose in your house, and now you want me to come to your home and fix your problems. How about not going there in the first place? That's an idea. So I'm just telling you. I'm telling you very bluntly, stay away from it. Because, folks, whether you like it or not, I've already explained it to you earlier. For those of you who just joined me, if you go to the Gates of Hell Cemetery, or you go to any location that's known to have a demonic infestation, and then all hell breaks in your home, and you try to contact Bishop Long, I have over 12,000 messages on TikTok of people asking me to help them. I have 893 messages on Messenger, people begging me to help. I have 15,713 emails in my ministry email, people asking me to get to their home. Now, you do the math. You're going to be one of those cases. And I do this for free. So what I'm telling you is stay away, because there's not a whole lot of clergy out there that actually does this ministry. And there's very few clergy out there, very few. I can count them on my hand that actually does it for free. Now, there's people who charge up to $10,000 to come to your home. So if you want to pay them $10,000, there's a Yahoo that charges $800 that does it on Skype. Give me a break. Hocus pocus, demon, leave this home. Come on. What are you doing? Spending $800 for some person, that's nonsense. That's utter nonsense. No, I don't do blessings over Skype as far as a demonic infestation, performing the minor rite of exorcism. No, I do not, and I never will. Because number one, the people who charge you $800 for it, stay away from them. Just stay away. That's just the way you guys know me pretty much by now. Thank you. All right, Mr. Producer. You guys pretty much know me by now. I'm a straight shooter. It's different if they say, "Hey, look, I can't come to your home and it costs this much money to get to you. I got to rent a car. I got to fly. I got to get a hotel." Well, that's different. But there are people that charge $10,000 for this. Stay away from it. Stay away from it. Well, John Paul is asking, is doing EVP work at a cemetery a bad idea? The problem with it, if you go to a place like the Gates of Hell Cemetery and you're doing EVP work, Now, you're going to find yourself in some serious trouble, because there are some digital recorders that actually you can hear the EVP live, so you can hear it. Like, I have a recorder where I put the headsets on, and if you hear the noise canceling headsets, and you can hear yourself talk, and then you listen, and whatever is recorded on the recorder, you actually can hear live. That's immediate interaction. That is no different than using a Ouija board. No different whatsoever. People don't like when I say that. Now, that's different. How is it different using a digital recorder and playing it back later? Because you're not having immediate interaction with the spirit in which you have no idea its identity. Because if you have a digital recorder and you push record, is there anyone here? Can you make a noise? What is your name? Are you happy? Whatever questions you have. Well, you can't hear it. You're not hearing anything. So then you go back, then you play it, and then you hear the Class A EVP. Is there anyone here? Yes. What is your name? Whatever. Are you evil? Whatever. Now, if you take that information and you go back to the same session and then you continue it, having a communication, folks, that is called an invitation. People don't like when I tell you this, but when you paranormal investigate, there are dangers that come with investigating. And I remember my first investigation was 35 years ago. I'm a fan of the paranormal, but I also am aware that there are serious dangers that come with investigating. You have to take the good with the bad. And that's why I work with people when they take on demonic cases. They take on demonic cases for the church. They're not out there thrill seeking. And they realize that when they walk into a case that could be demonically infested, they realize there are consequences for it. And that's the God's honest truth. For those of you on Spreaker, I'm going to have to unfortunately say goodnight to you guys because, we're running out of time. So goodnight to you. I'll see you at 10 p.m. Eastern for night prayer. I want to remind all of you, as you always do, please, I'm going to stay on TikTok for a little bit. So just TikTok, don't go anywhere. I'll stay with you after I close out the show here on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and KGRADB. But first, I want to tell you this. I do, Lita, I do, yes. Your value does not decrease based on someone's inability or refusal to see your worth. My friends, you are priceless. Never let anybody convince you otherwise. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, KGRADB, good night. The Sacred Division has been brought to you by Bishop Long's online paranormal course. Learn demonology, angelology, paranormal studies, and genealogy. It's 100% online, and you learn at your own pace. Please go to www.bishopjameslong.com and click on the paranormal course link.